Okay, so welcome to this talk. I'm going to talk about visualizing geographic information data or maps. I'm Damir, and for the last 6 months, I've been working on an application that uses geographic information data and displays it on maps. So, in short, what I will be talking about is GIS in general. So, just mention it. OpenLayers, it's a JavaScript library for front end, SharpMap for serving maps, creating a starting project. I'm going to show you the demo application and then tell you something about some useful resources that will help you create application you want. So, what is a geographic information system? It is a system designed to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of spatial geographical data. So, a system doesn't have to do all this, but it certainly does some of those things. And how can we split the system? We can split it in 4 parts. So we have front end for displaying meaningful geographic spatial data to the user. You can use libraries such as OpenLayers, Google Maps API, and Bing Maps API. I'm going to be talking about OpenLayers because that's what I used. Then we have backend used for processing user requests and preparing data to be displayed. Again, we have Google Maps, Bing Maps, QGIS, and ArcGIS. Then we have data storage. So PostgreSQL has PostGIS. Then we have an SQL Server, MySQL, and most of the other vendors support spatial data. And then we have the data itself. So it's data about borders, elevation, road addresses, etc. So we have Google Maps, Bing Maps, and you can download the free open source data from Natural Earth Data, and that's what I used and what I'm going to show you. So OpenLayers is an open source JavaScript library to load, display, and render maps from multiple sources on the web pages. I'm going to show you how it works with Bing Maps and SharpMap. It has big and active community. It had 6 major releases in the past 6 months, and I had a bug report for it, and they fixed it in approximately 1 week, and it was fixed and it was deployed in the next release. It is compatible with many data sources and providers. The only drawback is that it's not compatible with Google Maps because of its closed source, so they don't even plan to support it. And it can render maps using Canvas or WebGL. Then we have SharpMap. It's an open source map rendering engine written in C#. That's what I used, and it's available for use in web applications through SharpMap web library. It's also open source, and you can find it on Codeplex. So how do you create a project? First, you create a new ASP.NET MVC application, but don't include web API. The problem is that SharpMap has strict dependencies, and you cannot use newer versions of the web API because of the dependency on Newtonsoft JSON. Then install SharpMap and SharpMap Web through NuGet with these commands, and then you can install Web API, and it has to be the version 4.0. After that, we download the latest OpenLayers from OpenLayers.org and include it in the project. Unfortunately, you cannot include it through NuGet because the last version they put on NuGet is 2.0, I think, and the current version is 3.9, so not gonna happen. And then we download open source countries or region data from this link and set up maps. So I'm gonna show you in code how that looks like. So I have already set up the whole project, and I'm going to show you how I set up the maps, because that's the hardest part, I think. So we have here I included this shapefile, so it's the data that will be displayed through SharpMap, and then I set up maps. Through map service. Just a second. Okay, so to initialize maps, I create a new shapefile, and I just pass the source as the source that is right here, so country's shapefile, and then I set up some basic styling for the map, and that's it. The project is ready. After that, the only thing you have to do is create a div with the ID map or whatever, and then you have to initialize map through this. So this is for Bing Maps. I also have for SharpMap. It's quite similar. The only difference is that you create layer differently. So back to the slides. So what are the problems that I encountered during working with these libraries? So first was that map slows down when you have lots of items to display on it, and this can be solved through clustering. So you have some items that are nearby, and then you cluster them into one item. So that can help with that problem. Then we have the size of the borders data, because if you have to display it on OpenLayers, it can get quite big. So it can be few megabytes, because there are lots of points in country, and this can be fixed through border reduction. So this algorithm is used, and it is built into SQL Server. And then we have Earth curvature. So I'm going to show you what the problem here is. And it can be solved through usage of the spatial data that ignores curvature. So that's geometry type in SQL Server as opposed to geography type. Or if you don't want the distances to be messed up because of not taking into account curvature, you can do what I did and add vertical buffer to data loading extent. So I'm going to jump into the demo and show you the sample application. So I think this is pretty much what everybody thinks about when they talk about maps. So this is Bing Maps, and it's being displayed here. So I can do lots of things. I know, like switching the layers depending on zoom level and stuff like that. And I'm gonna show you in code how that's done. It's quite simple, really. We have two different layers, and we just set the maximum resolution or the minimum resolution at which it will be displayed. So these two maps are only different with imagery set, and then we just initialize map with those two layers as the layers parameter. Okay, then I'm going to show you a sample where so this application is actually an application that is used for shipping companies, so they can see where they are shipping their items, or to which countries they can ship items and stuff like that. So here we can see some points representing how many items are being shipped to that place. So as you can see, there are 6 items being shipped to London, 5 to Paris, and etc. So this map is actually Bing Maps, and then the points are displayed using OpenLayers. I have the same example, just using SharpMap. So SharpMap is a good alternative if you don't want to pay for map hosting, because you just use it in application. There are some drawbacks because it's quite simple, and you don't have that many options like you do in Bing Maps or Google Maps. So next, I'm going to show you how the country borders are displayed. So here I have an example where I click on the country, and then it highlights the countries to which I can ship items. So this is an example. I selected Italy, and I see I can ship to United Kingdom, France, Croatia, and Slovenia. And the same thing for other countries. So I have the same sample with SharpMap. And it works quite fine, even without the reduction, because I didn't use it here. So I'm going to show you how the code looks like for these samples. So you've already seen the map. The only thing you have to do is expose it through web API. So here I take a request and process it through SharpMap web library. So this is all you have to do. So it's quite simple. And then so we've seen the dots in the city. So this is this example. So I instantiate Bing Maps layer, and this is my key, and I just create a map using that layer. And here, these 2 options are used to render map even while you're interacting with it. So I'm gonna show you what's the difference. And then we can register a function on move end. So when you move map, you just load the data from that area. Okay. Now we have the SharpMap example. So as you can see, the code is pretty much the same. The only different thing is the layer which you instantiate, and the projections which you use. And here we have actually the same code. So in this sample, I've used tiles, and you can see that when you move the map, there are lots of tiles being rendered. So, and I'm going to show you the next example, which uses the image. So it's not using the tiles, it's loading the whole image of the area at once. The problem is that you cannot load tiles while you're interacting with the map, so you can get this weird looking thing. Okay, here it is. So the only difference is that I'm using different layer and different source. So this is layer image and source image VMS, and this is tile and tile VMS. And then this is actually the same code for SharpMap and Bing Maps, so you can exchange them as you like, and use them like that. So what else do I have to mention is useful resources. So we have QGIS, which is open source tool for creating, editing, visualizing, and analyzing geospatial information. It's quite a nice tool, and I can show you how it looks like. It takes a little time to load, so bear with me. Okay, here it is. So I've already downloaded some data from natural Earth data, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like and display it here. So this is the sample with the countries. So it's displayed here. Then you can manipulate it through certain actions, and you can even you can do nice things such as export the data from shapefile to GeoJSON and stuff like that. And then we have an example with regions, so it's much more granular. Okay. If you're using OpenLayers, you'll want to check these two pages out. So the most important one is a page with examples, because if you can find it there, then you'll have no problem in doing something. And if it's not there, you're gonna have to search a lot for some resources on how to do things. And then there's also an API documentation, which is quite good because you can see all the options you have when using OpenLayers, but there are no examples and doesn't show you how to use some stuff. And then the last one, if you can afford it, buy this book because it has a lot of good things in it, and it will certainly make your life easier. And that's it. Are there any questions? Okay, so that would be all, and thank you for watching.